Hello.
Oh, hi, Tanessa. You can go ahead and mute your phone. We'll start here in just a few minutes. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Are we ready? All right. We're back from closed session, and we do have reportable action. Mr. Curtis?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, there was no reportable action on items 3A and 3B, but on item 3C, the council voted 4-1 to appoint Steve Bade as interim city manager effective October 4th. Again, the vote was 4-1 with member Audette dissenting.
Thank you, sir. All right, well,
Would you just clarify what was the reason to appoint for the date for October 4th, but for the public who may not know this?
Sure. So the reason for appointing Steve is because I am retiring on October the 3rd. So Steve will be taking over at that point, interim basis, until the council selects a new city manager.
Thank you for your service.
thank you, thank you. All right, let's get going. If anyone wishes to address the city council on any item in the meeting before or during council's consideration of that item, please enter your name in the electronic kiosk located in the lobby. The city council will allocate up to a maximum of 3 minutes per speaker for each agenda item. Staff reports are available online at the city's website, cityofreading.gov, and in the public view binder located on the podium at the north side of the chambers. All right, so we've called to order. We'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. Mrs. Resner.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, thank you. Invocation, Mr. DeWitt.
Would you bow with me? Heavenly Father, thank you for your presence here. Thank you for all in this room tonight. Thank you for their commitment to our community. May our words and actions tonight contribute to positive outcomes for this wonderful city. We pray for our council members that you would grant them wisdom as they serve and as they strive to make Reading an even more incredible place to live and work. May they not become weary in doing good, and may you provide strength and courage to each of them. Father, bless us, bless our community, and protect all of those who work to keep us safe. In your holy name, amen.
Amen. All right, thank you, sir. Roll call, Ms. Shar.
We have telephonically joining us Councilmember Audette,
Here.
Danuka,
Present.
Resner,
Present.
Latav,
Here.
and Mayor Munz.
Here. All right, public comment. The city council will allocate up to a maximum of 3 minutes per speaker for 30 minutes total at the beginning of the meeting for public comment for non-agendized matters in the city's jurisdiction. The mayor will determine the order of speakers. If 30 minutes is not adequate to accommodate all of the individuals who have submitted their name through the electronic kiosk, the council will trail this item to the end of the open session agenda. The remaining speakers will address the city council at that time. All right, Rhonda Monroe, you're up. And Mark, you're on deck. Mark Monroe. You'll be after her.
Sorry, I'm not a public speaker. My name is Rhonda Monroe, and I'm a proud member of Shasta Supermoto Club. I race side by side with other women, including grandmothers like myself, who find strength and healing on the track. Through our partnership with Cherie Kano, founder of the public charity She Motos, we've blended racing, healing, and mental health awareness. Like many in our club, I carry deep loss. After losing my daughter to suicide, I've chaired suicide prevention walks, facilitated grief groups, and helped build family-centered racing programs that give people a place to belong. That's why what's happening to our club right now cuts so deep. In 2024, we agreed to go under Tony Trimp's agreement with specific terms. When those terms changed, we asked our member, Hawk Mazada, if he would help us lead Shasta Supermoto Club so I could take a mental health break. He said he was too busy, but he wasn't too busy to show up at the city council meeting, or city meeting soon after. He introduced himself as a non-affiliated racer and and argued in Tony's favor. I called him out on the lie right there in front of city staff, reminding them he was a current member who had trained racers on our track for free for years. That meeting was meant only for license holders, yet the city allowed him to attend. Since Hawk partnered with Tony, the city's story has shifted again and again. Our insurance was accepted for 12 years without a single claim. Then suddenly it wasn't good enough. The city attorney suggested our policy didn't protect us or the city in the first position, but it does. Our coverage defends all parties together as one, and it exceeds the required limits. Meanwhile, in March, the city canceled Tony's Drift event and sent us an email from the deputy city manager, and he said that he emailed Tony on March 5th, and he eliminated any activity by the drag strip from the road course. And Tony had to cancel his schedule. Yet today, Tony is being allowed to promote and run events on the track. When we asked why, we were met with shifting excuses. Tony said that Supermoto gave permission, the kart club gave permission, or pointing to an old 2020 map, even though in 2021, our map was approved and the track is under Shasta Supermoto and Shasta Kart Club. So we urge you to stop Tony from operating on the track, stop closed-door deals, stop turning a blind eye, reinstate our license agreement, honor fairness, transparency, and the families who built this track. Thank you.
Mark Monroe, you're up next. Then Cherie Kano, Cherie.
Hello. I'm here to address a little issue we have. Our track is being based on Sonoma and what Sonoma can bring and what Sonoma does. Sonoma Raceway is a world-class racing facility. Shasta Supermoto's facility is nothing like that. We are a homegrown little tiny track that sits in a corner behind an airport. There are several tracks that are like our track, and we're trying to hope that you guys will look at the fair market value as it is, not as it is Sonoma, but as it is a little kart track. So we have a kart track in Washington, Oregon, Reno, which is on FAA property. They just went through this a few months ago. They have raised their rate. FAA went in there. They are now paying $14,000 a year for a track that they were paying $5,000 for a year. They split that between the karters and the side-by-side. But that's the fair market value for an area that has 500,000 people. We got 181,000 people in our county. It's based on population. So we're trying to get the fair market value to be fair, like FAA wants, and trying to be able to afford to race. We're also in competition with the drag strip for a piece of property. They have done nothing too. They never lifted a hand, they never built it, they never maintained it, they never cleaned the property on it, around it, or behind it. And we can't seem to get a meeting with you guys. Now, I've got one with the doctor over there, and I have met with Tanessa, but I have not met with the rest of you, and I would love to tell you the rest of the story, but I only got a minute and 30 seconds. If it's based on Sonoma, that is a multi-billion-dollar racetrack, making millions, like 34 million last year. Our track wouldn't do that if we developed it over the next 30 years. The track has been there, Sonoma, for 68 years. So we're kind of behind them. But if you base it on that as fair market value, we'll never achieve that. So we're just hoping we can get you guys to look at some of the other tracks. But I mean, if you need an example, it just happened at the Reno Kart track. They are the footprint, if we're going to go by FAA rules, of what we should do, I guess. Anyway, thanks for your time.
Cherie, you're up. Dolores, you're on deck.
My name is Cherie Kano. I'm founder of She Motos. We're a public charity who uses motorcycling as a trauma outlet and help people get on track. Last year, we raised awareness for our mission, heading 2 female race teams brought to Shasta Supermoto for a historical 24-hour race. This is the kind of community outreach that puts our club on the map. I'm a former racer of American Federation of Motorcyclists. I have over 15 championships on my race resume. I know firsthand what it's like to be injured, and the community you helped build is so wrapped up in politics that they forgot to check on their people. After 10 surgeries on my arm that was nearly ripped from my body racing motorcycles, I succumbed to the idea that I would never race again. Racing as my trauma outlet has now come to an end. I came to Shasta Supermoto with the idea that I was going to give my grandson opportunities I didn't have as a child. I had no idea how close I'd get to my new moto family. They would then encourage me to become the first female nationally sanctioned accredited race director and referee of the sport. I sold everything I had and used my equity to buy a burn scar property from the car fire, built my home, and then started a business here. Last month, when I stood up here asking the when and why we can't ride, the very next day there was an attempt to ruin my reputation and jeopardize my career with said sanctioning body. Recordings of this meeting and emails were sent to my steward in question of my clean record with no incidents, claims, or complaints, also questioning the safety of Shasta Supermoto with the same record. They tried to put the kibosh on any future events that would nationally be sanctioned through myself or Shasta Supermoto. Even when our members were calling out to support this fight for our club, they were taunted. Hawk Mazzotto Moto Camp commented, and I quote, "Keyword fight. Not the ideal way to go about things, in my opinion. Someone has got to sit back and ask themselves how the fight works out so far. Y'all haven't been on the track in how long? Do you truly think fighting is still the answer? Cheers, bud, end quote. What would the FAA grant think about unjust discrimination and fairness? I think the term is sweetheart deal. Now, I know they have grandiose ideas of road courses, big bikes, big cars, etc., but Thunder Hill Raceway is right down the road with showers, RV hookups, Tesla hookups for free. That's what the Reading Motorsports Park is competing with. Also, it took 13 years to open a road course at Buttonwillow Racetrack. By then, Reading wouldn't see, but 10 years, Reading won't see any revenue, and by that time, Amazon would build their hub with jobs for the community, and we're not opposed to that. Just let us operate till then. Rather than fracture our community, give us a place to go, give us our home back. In my professional opinion, this meet and greet and any future events scheduled on our track by Tony, a car racer who's bringing an outsider to our track, is a liability written by FAA standards, not me. Not to mention,
thank you. Your time's up.
dangerous, I'm sorry.
No, your time's up. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Dolores, you're up. Nick Gardner, you're on deck. Sorry, we just have a whole bunch of speakers, so we got to stay on time.
Could I ask one question? Our Assistant City Manager, Steve, I believe there's another meeting coming up next week. Is that correct?
We have a meeting this Thursday.
You do have a meeting? Okay, great. Thank you.
Dolores, you're not here? Nick, you're up. Robert, you're on deck.
I've got a copy of the lease to Big League Dreams for our sports park here. And this is amendment number 2, sports park lease, replacement E. Tenant there hereby agrees to replace and repair damage to synthetic turf at the end of its useful life or if damaged. I don't understand why you didn't hold Big League Dreams' feet to the fire and make them replace that turf. Instead, it looks to me like you let them give their lease to a different entity that didn't have the resources to replace it, and they got out of it. I think Barry Tippin should have been on the ball about that and not let that happen. You know, I look at Big League Dreams and I look at our city managers. When I started paying attention to local politics, Mike Warren was a city manager. And I watched him feather his nest down at Turtle Bay. He gave us Big League Dreams. It's been a complete failure. And now you're going to go in the construction business? They had the sex scandal. Warren gave McConnell 201 riverfront acres across from Turtle Bay for $1.2 million, with the agreement the money had to be spent on a walking bridge, which turns out to be the Sundial Bridge. And then I see what Barry's done. We'll skip Starman because I don't have time. He gave $20 million worth of raises in 21 and 23, and now they want a 1-cent tax. He BS'd us into thinking that it was an unsolicited offer for the Civic down there when everybody knows he was in on it. Now he wants a 1-cent tax. Shut down New Palm, which didn't need to be shut down, and it finally got open. So you create a problem, you get it open, I guess you're a hero. What I'd like to suggest is we get rid of city managers and go back and have a mayor do the city manager job. That's what a lot of city does. And we could have an election for the mayor every 2 years, and that way we could recycle them if we don't like them. That's my suggestion. Thank you.
Thanks, Nick. Robert? Steve Kant, you're up next.
Good evening. For the last few years, Shasta County has been involved in distraction, deconstruction, and conspiracy by inept ideologues bent on filling their ranks with their cronies and casting aside qualifications for obedience to the majority. I think the medical school supported by Councilman Danuka is another delusion of grandeur propped up by the board majority. I think this is something we really need to address from a cost viewpoint, but also from a viable and attractive place to live. From Dr. Short's opinion, I think we should focus on making our community an attractive place for people to live. We should support our healthcare systems, especially the public health system. Young doctors do not appreciate places that attack their public health agencies and medical services. Our political and non-political leaders should do everything they can to assist the healthcare community in its recruiting efforts. Now, concerning bread and circuses, giving $676,000 to a crony nonprofit is beyond shocking. That money could have bought a couple of canine units and officers to help with our public safety problem. It's easy to be generous with money that isn't your own, and for which there are no consequences for poor stewardship, well, except at the ballot box. Let the civic stand or fall on its own merits, not on our dime. Sorry. Lastly, I was shocked and surprised to get the public announcement that Barry Tippin was appointing his successor. Do you guys have any sort of input into what goes on other than, you know, waving and cutting ribbons? I mean, are you guys doing the work? And why is the assistant manager appointed without a public recruitment drive? Why are you so afraid to have transparency and have people who are qualified and not involved in the crony politics of Shasta County and Reading apply for this position? It's beyond amazing, except that you want to maybe avoid transparency and exposure. I don't know. Thanks.
Well, I say, Robert, you're not quite up to speed on all that's going on.
Well, educate me.
Well, there's a lot of research out there that we're doing it in public.
Yeah.
So when
I
you
know
come up,
you're-
we'd appreciate it if you
you're
come up with.
intellectual giant, I know that. Thanks.
Better.
So let me just clarify this, but let me just clarify this. Barry Tippins has not appointed any interim manager. So first thing, this is an interim manager position, not a full term. We have a recruitment open for
Great.
the future city manager. Number two, Barry Tippins has not appointed nor has made any recommendation about this. This is a decision of the city council 4-1 in the closed council meeting.
Perfect. Thank
So
you.
I just want to clarify that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Rezer.
Dr. Januko cleared it up, that council does not,
Okay.
council makes that decision.
Steve?
Council, staff, community members, I'm going to cut this short because I had written it with the idea that Councilwoman Adet would be here. So I think all I want to say is that there have been some statements made and some videos put out and things that accused employees of malfeasance. I mean, you know, basically lambasted employees and as far as I can tell, all on unsubstantiated allegations. This is a bad path to go on. I mean, you can look at the county if you want to see what can happen if you want to continue on that path. So I really don't think that anything like that, it shouldn't happen that way anyway. Even if there was a situation going on, then it should be confronted and looked at by the council and by staff and by people involved and resolved that way if possible. And before anything would be done, there should be incontrovertible evidence. And that is not what's going on. It is not a good thing. I hope we don't continue down that path. Thank you.
Good evening, beautiful council members. I wish to be here with lighter speeches and attaboys and good jobs for everybody for all the things you've done, because those are much more fun for me to deliver. Instead, I have to come before you once more to point out exactly where things might be able to, just a little bit better. Last year, about this time, the City Planning Commission had an attempted ousting of a hardworking, well-known member of the community for asking a simple question. He dared to ask a question, and Councilmember Audette attempted to throw Erin Hatch off the commission for, as she put it, sowing dissent, creating an unstable working environment. We, after all, do not wish to look like the mess the county is in, I do believe is a quote from that day, referring to the attack on city employees and county employees. If this is the case, and Councilmember Audette wishes to create a harmonious environment for staff, a place of health and safety, then Councilwoman Audette, what are you doing with your incessant Facebook posts and videos? How are you creating a place of safety for any of the city staff with that? How are your words and actions creating a safe and healthy environment for anyone? There are procedures for this, and you are not following them. The man is about to retire. You've had years in budget meetings to properly ask questions in a safe and respectful way. Instead, you insist on rooting out corruption, much like a familiar voice from Patrick Jones, as he ruthlessly attacked Councilwoman Francie Sullivan. If you do not wish to create a hostile and unsafe environment, the way Patrick Jones created chaos within the county, perhaps you shouldn't follow him word for word. Thank you.
Mr. Bate, I guess, good luck. We'll wish you the best in all these things. My name is Jay Dunlap, lifelong resident of Reading, care a lot about the town, do not like being in city politics, and would never in my life believe I'd be up here talking. My message is really simple. I don't think anything has gone wrong. I don't think there's anybody doing anything wrong, but I think the city is really out of line in their spending. That when you look at the amount of money spent on labor, the amount of money spent on unallocated or uncovered retirements that are owed, $30 million a year that we're just paying on retirement debt, this is not able to go forward. That as people look at budgets that are coming up on every line item, regardless of what fund it's in, they need to spend less money than they bring in. That there was a huge problem when staff forecasted an increase in sales taxes. That was not going to happen, and then they didn't see it not happening soon enough. They didn't correct. We should not remove firemen from fire engines. We should not remove police from the street. Those people are serving us in public safety. That's not the place to cut. In a budget of this size, we need to bring things back in line. There should be less staff working for the city, less FTEs. The head count needs to go down, and the total amount spent in labor needs to come down dramatically. If you can't save money, you're going to end up in a worse place. The retirement debt grows every single year. We've seen what Anderson has done, and if you look at the amount of debt they have per citizen, it is crazy. If you look to our neighbors to the north, Shasta Lake City, done a much better job. It's a very hard job. I am very glad you're all sitting up there doing this. We have to get the budget in line. Thank you very much.
Ally and then Chris Everton. Or Severson, I guess.
Hi, I'm Allie Severson. I want to get the track back because I like playing with my friends and I like racing other girls and boys. And I like playing like on my skates sometimes when I bring them to the track, and I really want to help get the track back because I know that other kids, like girls and boys, like to go and race. That's it. Thank you.
Bravo.
Thanks, Ally.
Good job.
Chris? And then Jamie Mobilia. You're up next.
She pretty much said it for me. I feel the same way. She's got a brand new motorcycle she got at Christmas, and she's yet to ride it because it's set up for Supermoto, and there's no place for her to ride unless we go to Oregon or Reno. Whether the track comes back under Supermoto, Shasta Supermoto, or Reading Motorsports Park, if that's the case, we're not going to be able to afford to race there because they're going off of Sonoma prices, which is way bigger facility than we have. They've got power for one, water. We have nothing but pavement. And there's no comparison comparing that track to Sonoma track. And the pricing that they're wanting to charge to race is just unbelievable. So, it'd be nice to be able to get our contract back and for the next 2 years and be able to use the track again until then. Or give us another place to build a track and go from there. That's all.
Thank you. Jamie? Leslie Sawyer, you're up after Jamie.
Hi, my name is Jamie Mobilian. I've been with Shasta Supermoto since they started, with all the blood, sweat, and tears we put into that track and keeping it upkeep and everything else. And it's like a family, and I just want my kid, as you met Allie, to be able to go out there and enjoy it and be safe like she always has been under Supermoto. I trust Supermoto with my kid any day, and I know how they run everything, and it's wonderful. We just want our track to be able to ride again. It's an outlet for our kids to have fun, enjoy, and respect other people and learn. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Margaret Hanson. Zachary Scott, you're after her.
Hello. Personally, I would like to thank Tanessa Audette for everything she's doing. I appreciate the transparency. She tried doing it in here in front of everybody. Nobody wanted to participate. Nobody wanted to be transparent. So I appreciate it being brought up. I've also been watching your video series. Mike, we got to talk about that. I look forward to seeing how those end. But in that, I think that this new retirement date, we were all thinking December, This doesn't give us time to be apathetic. This doesn't give us time to have kindergarten level civics lessons. This is a sense of urgency. Not one of those sense of urgencies like Sacramento likes to do to push these bills through that they do to us continuously, but a sense of urgency saying, this gentleman who just got appointed temporarily, or whoever it is that you guys bring in and hire, gets to clean up that guy's mess, gets to answer for everything he's running out the door and leaving. I think everybody deserves answers. I think everybody deserves some fiscal responsibility. And I think this council needs to make it very clear, abundantly clear, that everybody at this table works for you and you work for us. Not the other way around. For years, 20 plus years, this table has ruled that table. That's not how this works. So I reached out to Mr. Munns, didn't hear back. I reached out to Mike Littell. We had a great conversation. I will say, as far as a forensic audit goes, I hear you, that the community might ask for one every time they don't like it. In this, I think it's necessary, with the caveat that you all understand that it is a one-time thing, and you make it very clear to everybody out here that it is a one-time thing. And we're not gonna do this every time somebody doesn't like a decision that was made. But we need something that has teeth. We need something that says, if there was malfeasance, misfeasance, whatever feasance, somebody answers for it. And if public safety is such a problem that we can't afford it, maybe we need to be a contract city because we can't handle our own business. We have a sheriff that's doing a pretty darn good job. Maybe he can take over. So I think that you guys need to start listening to the public, answering to the public. I have a lot more that I wanted to talk to you about, but this is the biggest issue. They answer to you. You answer to us.
Well, hold on, Zachary. Let me just make it perfectly clear to everybody in this room. I trust our staff. I trust Barry. I trust Steve. I trust Christian. Our staff in the back. I've met with Mr. Tippin probably 300 times in the last 3 years. He's a great man. He does a great job. And I appreciate our staff very much. Go ahead, Zachary.
Oh, goodness, but I'm going to say ditto for what Leslie said, and then some. A forensic audit is necessary so that the people can see exactly what you guys are actually doing. And she is right. So is Tanessa, and I agree with what she's done. Transparency is key. So you can't argue it because we, the people, know, okay? The problem is that you've got bloated budgets, you have bloated incomes for all your workers, and it's insane. And then you want a 1 cent tax on top of that, and you're trying to tell people, hey, you know, we need this 1 cent tax. Well, I know there's backroom deals going on because I know a lot about what's been going on in the city for the last few years, at least, since I've been paying attention. But I request a forensic audit, and it should be an outside one, because none of you can be trusted, really. And I don't care if you believe that or not. We see it. We all see it. Thank you.
Last but not least, Hawk, you're up.
Hello, everyone. My name is Zach Scott. I was one of the founders of Shasta Supermoto with Mark Monroe. There's been statements saying that we've been a club for 12 years, which is not true. It's been less than that. And I just want to set the record straight that Shasta Supermoto did not start 12 years ago. The first time Mark Monroe and I actually saw a race together was June 22nd, 2014. We flew under the Shasta Kart Club banner for over a year before we even started the club. We were a bunch of guys that said we were NorCal Supermoto. We switched it to be Shasta Supermoto to be affiliated with the club, so we met more of a union together. That's pretty much what I had to say on this. I just keep seeing this in a Facebook ad, Facebook, we've been a club for 12 years. We have not. They've been closer to 10 years than 12 years. That's all I have to say.
All right. Dolores, I'm in a good mood, so make it quick. Just kidding.
Thank you for that. I was running late. As you all know, I did request for public records in regarding what Tanessa is actually saying about the city. But just so you know, I'm not going to be assuming that the city is doing something wrong without the facts. And so far, I have not seen any facts because I have not received the documents, and I'm not going to be accusing you of something until I see it. So that's why I asked for public records. And I'm not standing behind her at all because I don't pick sides or anything. I am actually in the middle. I'm actually for the people. But if you, the people who claim to be the people who want transparency, and those people are actually violating laws, and actually they're doing the same, the things that they're accusing you guys. So I don't, some of these groups here, I'll tell you right now, I don't like them, and I can't stand them because they say the same thing, and they actually don't come up with the evidence, or they just assume, they just say things, but there's no facts, no evidence. So I will do a research for myself, for nobody else, just to make sure what she's saying. Either way, no matter which way it comes out, I will actually come back to you guys and let you know. But for her to say, like assuming, and just because she thinks there's something there, she should do her research and get the evidence before she accuses somebody, because it's not good to accuse somebody without the evidence. And I know sometimes people get accused of things they don't even do, and I know that for a fact. And so, but thank you for, for running a little late here and able to come up here and speak, because like I said, I don't agree with some of the groups who actually attend the Board of Supervisor meeting. They actually say that the left is actually breaking the law when they're actually the Republicans and the people who saying they're better than them, and that's not true. And I'll tell you, it's not true. And I've seen both sides, and I'll tell you right now, it's the ones who are coming up here and saying they know more and they know better. So I hear that a lot, especially from Leslie over here, and I know she's videotaping, but I don't really care. She doesn't intimidate me. I know she likes doing that in meetings, but I could tell you, she talks a lot, and she says things without any facts. So I just want to let you know, thank you.
Dolores, all right, Councilmember Resner.
I wanted to expand. Mr. Sid, you asked a couple of questions about what this process looks like. So while there was public comment, I wrote down a couple of notes so that I could go through, because I do think that it's really important that the community understands what the council has been aware of, because sometimes it's normal habit and routine for us because we're in it every day, but it can appear very questionable to the community. So I'm going to go through a couple of timelines. In 2023, the city council was notified of city manager's intent to retire, and councils have known since 2023 that his intent was to retire at the end of this year. We have also known for months and months, beginning of summer, council was notified of his intent of an actual date. Like I said, months ago, city manager Tippin gave his actual retirement date. The council then began meeting to discuss what we wanted the replacement process to look like. So once we know someone's vacating their seat, we have to have a discussion about what do we want replacing that person to look like. In those discussions, we talked about things like, were we willing to spend money on a recruiting agency? And if so, what firm would we like to hire? And how much money are we willing to spend on that sort of process? Those have been meetings that have been posted on closed session, so you can verify what dates it is that those were being discussed. Then we decide and have debates about what sort of person we want for an interim, because someone needs to check all of the boxes and keep the train moving down the tracks while we are recruiting. What it looks like now that we've appointed someone who's an interim is that we will likely have probably another 4 to 5 meetings. I haven't been through this process, but I've asked a lot of questions, so this is my first time. But roughly 4 to 5 more meetings, similar to what we had today, discussing interview questions, interviewing potential candidates that the recruitment firm brings to us, doing second interviews, and then discussing and negotiating with that firm of what it is that we're willing to pay someone and making offers, them accepting or declining, those sort of things. That is what that interview process looks like, between city council being aware that someone is retiring and picking someone. I will say that we are flying this position all over the place. So we're hoping to have a large pool of candidates. I don't know if that's being overly hopeful or not, but that's what the process looks like. I hope that that was really, I hope that that gave some clarifying. Also, I would like to point out that we are currently a contract city and that we are audited annually and regularly recognized for our financial practices. But I am somebody who believes in trusting and verifying. A former council member told me that at the very, very beginning of me coming on in 2018 was that you should trust everything that staff or the community tells you and then make sure that you verify. One of the things that I think is really, really important for this community to know, and I have it in notes on my phone because I get asked all of the time in regards to raises. One of the things that is most important to know is that none of that staff gets to decide who gets raises and when they get raises. The people who sit up here are the ones who get to decide who gets raises, what they will be, and when they will be. So I would like to remind everyone, because I think that this is forgotten, in July of 2023, IAFF was approved 4-1 with DeQuisto voting no as the only no. IAFF was also given a raise in October of 2024, which was approved in a 5-0 vote. Leslie, if you want me to text this to you, I totally can. RPOA was negotiated in October of 2023. That was approved in a 5-0 vote. In December of 2023, RPMA, that's the Police Manager Association, was approved in a 5-0 vote. Fire management was in December of 2023, approved in a 5-0 vote. UPEC Electric was August of 2023, also approved in a 5-0 vote. Unrepped employee increases were given in September of 2023. That was approved in a 3-2 vote, with DeQuisto and Mazzano being the only no votes. So I just want, while we're discussing all of, sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt, but we may be getting
Okay,
into the substantive item.
I'm done. I have.
And Mr. Mayor, if I could recommend seeing if there's any public comment at the remote location.
Yes, please. Vanessa, any public comment?
Any public comment? No public comment.
What time is it over there?
It is it is 3:47 a.m. So we're not going to get that much participation. Sorry.
All right. Thank you. Yes. All right. Consent calendar contains items considered routine and/or which have been individually scrutinized by city council members and are anticipated to require no further deliberation. If a member of the public wishes to address an item on the consent calendar, please enter your name in the electronic kiosk located in the lobby before the consent calendar is considered. It shall be the prerogative of any council member before the consent calendar is acted upon to 1, comment on an item, 2, respond to any public comment on an item, 3, request a record reflect an abstention or a nay vote on an item, or remove the item and place it on a regular portion of the agenda for delivery of a staff report and/or extended discussion deliberations. Anybody pulling anything?
I would like to recuse on item 4B as I own property within the entertainment zone. And then I would like to pull item 4.14. So it'll become 914.
414, okay. I will recuse myself, but we can stay up here, though.
Yes.
And on the same one, what was it, 4B?
4B, I'm recusing.
Yeah, okay.
And so
Yeah.
are you.
And for us. All right, so I'll take a motion.
But I'll make a motion to approve all of.
One second. One second. I think it's 414A. Is that part of consent calendar?
Yes.
Are you pulling that?
That's the one I'm pulling.
Okay, good.
So there we got that. All right, I'll second.
Aye.
And we have to take a roll call vote?
Councilmember Audette?
Yes.
Danuka?
Yes.
Resner?
Yes.
Lata?
Yes.
And Mayor Menz.
Yes. All right. We do have some public comment. Benjamin Nowain? Then David Halligan? Oh, sorry, hold on. What? Oh, so you want to wait on that then? Okay. Sorry, Benjamin. You can take your seat again.
Nope. Okay.
All right. Moving forward. We are up on 6.1. Public hearing for Public Works. Public hearing to consider adopting the resolution forming sanitary sewer maintenance district. Mr. Webb.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of the council, staff, and community. Council, you may recall that back in July 15th of this year, I was up for you and presented an engineer's report for the Salt Creek Heights Sanitary Sewer Maintenance District. Is that better?
Yeah, you're fine.
Jumping back into it, so this was the Sanitary Sewer Maintenance District 1-25. This is for the Salt Creek Heights subdivision Phase 4. This evening, I'm recommending that you conduct a public hearing, and upon conclusion of the public hearing, assuming a majority of the voting property owners are not opposed to formation of the Sanitary Sewer Maintenance District, that you, 1, confirm the results of the election of the assessment district, 2, confirm the assessments contained in my engineer's report for said district, 3, order the formation of territory into the Sanitary Sewer Maintenance District 125 for fiscal year 26-27, and 4, approve the annual assessments for fiscal year 26-27 pursuant to the Improvement Act of 1911, Streets and Highways Code, Chapter 26, Maintenance Districts, Section 5820, and levying and collecting the same for fiscal years 26-27. I will be available for any questions or comments that you have after the public hearing.
Of Sanitary Sewer Maintenance District, SSMD 01-25, Salt Creek 4, and resolution confirming and approving the levy and collection of the annual assessments for fiscal year 25-26. All right, number 1, pound gavel. I did that already, and I declared a public hearing. Any person is welcome to make oral comments during the public hearing. However, only property owners within the district boundaries of Sanitary Sewer Maintenance District 1.25 Salt Creek 4 are permitted to vote. Only a ballot submitted to the clerk prior to the close of public hearing will be counted as a vote. If you have already submitted a ballot, you may not submit another. Only one ballot may be submitted for each parcel of land located within the district boundaries. If you have an ownership interest in more than one parcel in the district, you may submit one ballot for each parcel. If you have already submitted a ballot, you may withdraw your ballot, but only by notifying the clerk prior to the close of the public hearing. Any public comment? Nope. All right. So I declare the public hearing closed. At this time, submitted the ballots have ended. All right, Ms. Clerk, can you tabulate all the ballots for me?
Yes. So Honorable Mayor, the number of ballots mailed to property owners for SSMD District 01-25, Salt Creek 4, was 1, and the number of ballots received by close of the public hearing was 1 in favor of formation. Accordingly, formation of SSMD 01-25 may proceed.
Thank you, thank you. So I call for a motion to, go ahead, Paul.
One person voted, but you mailed out 70. How many were mailed out?
Just 1. It's the owner of the developer will then pass that along, I guess, to the purchasers? Is that how that works?
Yeah, I think the Public Works Director can probably explain it.
Yeah, thank you. Great question, Councilmember Danuka. So currently, the property owner owns all 70 parcels, and the formation of this district is occurring while that individual still owns them. And assuming that we get the appropriate number of yay votes, then we will move into adjusting the property taxes through the assessment, and that'll be passed on to the property owners as they purchase these lots.
So right now, out of those 70 lots, no one else owns any of those lots, right?
That is correct. There's
Okay.
one owner for all 70 lots.
And I'd also just say this is a condition of approval for the
Yes.
map. So they agreed to this as part of their subdivision map when it got approved.
Okay.
Thank you for the clarification.
To further add on, it's the most efficient way for the sewer to function in this area. Without the maintenance district, it would be very expensive to drain this area.
I'm well aware of the geography of that, so I understand the value of that. I was just wanted to clarify how many owners were there right now. Thank you.
It was a difficult campaign, I will say that.
And I call for a motion to adopt the resolution.
Do we have to close the public hearing?
Yeah, I did.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Aye.
Roll call vote. So confirm the results of election of the assessment district. Confirm the assessment contained in the engineer's report and said district. Ordering the formation of the territory into SSMD 125 for fiscal year 26-27. And approving the annual assessment for fiscal year 26-27 pursuant to the Improvement Act of 1911. Streets and Highways Code 26, Chapter 26, Maintenance Districts, Section 5820 at whatever that, et al., basically at CEQA, and levying and collecting the same for fiscal year 26-27. Roll call.
Councilmember Audette?
Yes.
Danuka?
Present. No, sorry, yes.
Resner?
Aye.
Latab?
Yes.
And Mayor Munz.
Yes. Now we have a, Christian, do you want to speak on this? This one or, oh, 6.2, I see. All right, let's move on. Another public hearing? City Manager, public hearing to consider adopting a resolution adding the tobacco retail license fee for the sale of tobacco and tobacco products. Open it.
Good evening.
Go ahead, Mr. Jason.
Excuse me. Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. This is a public hearing for adopting the tobacco retail license fee. If you recall, last month, we adopted a tobacco retail ordinance. So per that ordinance, every tobacco retailer is to be licensed in the city. So that includes all smoke shops, convenience stores, gas stations, and any business that wants to sell tobacco. The fee is $1,176.63. The fee fully covers the cost of the program in alignment with Council Policy 802. It will fund a full-time neighborhood preservation officer and a half-time admin assistant. Those positions will cover all aspects of the program, so that includes administration, enforcement, education, and inspections. Our recommendation is to conduct the public hearing and adopt the proposed resolution to approve the addition of a tobacco retail license fee. Thank you, and I'm available for any questions.
Well, before we get to questions, Kristen?
Yeah,
Oh.
open public hearing.
Public hearing is open.
I'm here tonight to really share my appreciation. I want to personally thank the work of Shasta County Public Health staff who have been inspecting tobacco retailers for many years to ensure that the retailers abide by state and federal laws to protect our community health, especially youth. I also want to thank the students who came previously to speak on behalf of themselves and to share with you important information that they were hoping you would act on. And also, so most importantly, I want to thank the City Council for supporting the tobacco retail license ordinance to protect the health of our community and especially our youth. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. That's it. Any other questions for Jason? All right. Close public hearing.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
All right. A roll call vote.
Councilmember Audette?
No.
What'd she say?
She said no.
Oh, no.
Okay. Danuka?
Aye.
Resner?
Aye.
Lata?
Yes.
And Mayor Munz.
Yes. All right. That passes 4-1. All right. Was consider 9.1 D. Mr. Tippin, considering approving a lease agreement to the County of Shasta for real property located at 7251 East Side Road.
Jason Jibilisco is going to take this one as well.
Jason. Good job.
Hello again.
Yes, please.
So this is a lease and purchase agreement with Shasta County for 7251 East Side Road. The county sheriff would like to use the property to extend the alternative custody program and also for a possible new jail. The lease term is up to 30 years, and if they hit certain milestones, the property can be transferred to them for $1. Those milestones include approval of an environmental document, construction of a building to run the alternative custody program, and the operation of the alternative custody program for at least 1 year. The city does have a right of first refusal on the property if the county ever does want to sell it, and that's for 20 years. We did reach out to HCD to provide comment on our exempt surplus property resolution, and we have not heard back yet from them. There is a potential that we may need to bring that exempt surplus property resolution back. Our recommendation tonight is to approve the lease agreement and purchase agreement. And thank you, and I'm available for any questions.
All right, we'll do public comment first. Steve, you're up. Then Benjamin, now it'll be your turn after Steve. And then Leslie Sawyer, you're third. Maybe he's doing both, I don't know.
Hello again. You know, there was a bit of turmoil and everything between the city and the county over this thing, but I just wanted to remind everybody that it was council that instructed the staff to look for a surplus piece of property that the county could use for this. And so I thank you guys. I mean, I know that, I don't think everybody in the county realizes it, but the reason that this thing's moving along is because of the decisions that you guys have made. And I just wanted to say thank you. That is, provided it continues to move forward. If it stops, I'll be back here bitching, but thank you for now.
Thanks, Steve. Benjamin?
Thank you for the threat, Steve.
Yeah, I just kind of wanted to echo those sentiments. I'm super appreciative that this is going through. It's actually a very great, in my opinion, first step into adding to our public safety, you know, which we've been having difficulties with over the last, gosh, I don't know how long, since I've been paying attention anyways. And it's felt like there has been no financial path to get us to where we need to be. And it's like this collaboration between the city and the county, and I know you guys don't get along so well all the time. I think this is heading in a great direction, and if we, you know, keep it moving in this direction, I think we'll end up with some better public safety than we've had.
Ben, just one correction. We do get along just fine. There are always some disagreement, and that's a path to better decision making.
Leslie?
And we want to see a lot more of that getting along. So thank you. This is my moment where I get to come up here and be very kind and very nice to all of you and tell you, thank you for working so well. I want to see more of that collaboration. The whole drive behind what I do is to get uninformed voters educated and involved in government, because our founding fathers developed it to be to where everyday citizens are educated and involved in government, not lifelong politicians, not anybody here who is supposed to be making a name for themselves so they can climb a ladder. It is us caring about our community and doing what's best. And public safety and our community getting better is good for everybody. It's great to see you guys working with the county. I really hope that this alternative custody program turns out to be everything that Sheriff Johnson expects it to be, because that's what we need. Because we can forget everything else. If we continue to go the direction we're going, we can forget everything else. Whether we can afford anything or not, this city is going to be in terrible shape. Nobody moving here, nobody wanting to do anything. Businesses are going to continue to close, and Reading is going to look like Bernie, Fall River, all those other areas that just have shut down buildings. We will not be able to continue to move forward without something that fixes it. So thank you on this. We all get along, and I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Les.
And we definitely will move Reading in better direction, and we certainly appreciate anyone who connects the public officials and the public. So your work of informing public, we really truly appreciate that.
Yeah. Vice Mayor Littell.
We've had a lot of closed session meetings, and this gives a chance for us to talk a lot about the color. And I'd say from the very beginning, this is one of the most exciting things that I feel like we're getting accomplished this year. And I think the county can feel the same way. And early on, I think we were on the same page as far as the framework. This was really exciting to them. This was really exciting to us. And this is a really, really big win. And when we talk about an alternative custody program, you know, the thought process of ever getting a new jail ever done, I mean, I think that's a grim hope right there. But this is really a great solution, a lot of great wins for our city, for our county. And this was a good opportunity to work with the county. And I'm sure it looked a little bit negative at times in the public eye, you know, when it hit the newspapers or so. But the reality is we were all getting along pretty well. And we got the deal done. We had a framework that was discussed early on, and we just had to get all the nuts and bolts done, clean up a little bit of language in the lease, and just make sure that we were fine with a few specific words. But it took a lot of time, but that's just the process of sometimes negotiating a lease. But in the end, this is something we can really celebrate today. I'll make a motion to approve as written, and I'm happy to support this.
I'll second.
Aye.
Ms. Clerk?
Councilmember Audette?
Yes.
Danuka?
Yes.
Resner?
Yes.
Latah?
Yes.
And Mayor Munz.
Yes. All right.
This is
Travis.
good. This is good when all of us are clapping for it. That's good.
Travis, you're up, buddy. 9.6B, consider adopting a resolution approving financial assistance, advanced Reading, and approving a lease amendment for the city auditorium located at 700 Auditorium Drive.
All right, thank you, Honorable Mayor, members of the council. So this is a follow-up to our August 19th meeting where we were directed as staff to use the new pointer. There it is. I hit it twice, so hopefully it doesn't go twice. Okay, so we were told to return to council and perform with all of these documents prepared so that you may take action. So the council would like us to allocate that $675-ish thousand. So there's actually $675,445.57. So we were actually going to use the actual, again, amount of the account for this grant. And we drafted a grant document. We were also to defer lease payments, which are currently $5,000 a month. We were to defer those until January 1st, 2026. And as a follow-up, to assign 2 members of the Community Services Advisory Commission, or CSAC, I don't know why it says committee, typo, that we would actually examine the agreement to find more favorable terms to help make the operation of the Civic Auditorium more sustainable. So we're not able to do the last one just yet because that takes time to set up the meeting, but we are able to take on the grant as well as the lease amendments tonight. So before you hear tonight is the grant document for Advanced Reading for the operations of the Civic Auditorium. So I'm going to go through a few highlights of that. There's a 1-year term, really just to give us time to do all of the reporting and make sure that the expenses are all accounted for per the terms of the agreement. We granted, again, that total of $675,445.27. The expenses that you will see are shown in an exhibit, and so they are exact expenses for items that the Civic has paid for or will pay for. Those could be utilities, production costs, so they have contracts for those, so those are very easy to go and track and produce documents for. And the grant also requires a closeout grant report, so we'll be able to see what the money was spent on and have some transparency with the funds as they pass to the other entity. So tonight we have some supporting documents for that. There is a budget resolution that reallocates funds, as well as a resolution to capture and explain the intent behind the grant. So that's really just to kind of tell the story of how we got here, as well as the grant document itself. And it's not Kurt Cobain, it is Weird Al. And just to let you know, so there's a little follow-up about the ad hoc committee, but the deferred lease payment, so we've also prepared a lease amendment, and I know we were supposed to do a lease amendment with CSAC, but in order to defer lease payments, we actually have to do a lease amendment in the short term. So we've prepared one that charges $0 in rent until January 1st, 2026. After that, the rent would then resume at the $5,000 a month level unless the ad hoc committee and future council meetings dictate otherwise, but we have time to work on that. And as we go through the next CSAC meeting, which is September 10th, we'll select those committee members and then be able to work on that new lease agreement. So tonight, really, all we would like to do is go with the staff recommendation to adopt the resolutions, approve the grant agreement, and authorize the mayor to execute the agreement, and authorize the mayor to execute the amendments to the lease agreement. And with that, I can take any questions. Just try to keep it short and simple.
Councilmember Danuga?
During the previous meeting also, I did mention that I do want a Civic to stay open. It's a community asset, and it's loved by the public. Public uses it. I want to keep this open, but I do want to find a sustainable fiscal pathway. In the last meeting, I had recommended that we give a partial grant rather than a full grant, with a recommendation to come back in 3 to 4 months or maybe early January with a sustainable future plan to consider the rest of the grant. So I just want to bring it to the council again. My recommendation is still, I'm okay with the no rent for 4 months until January, that's fine. But my recommendation is for you guys to reconsider giving half the grant at this point and bring back a sustainable financial plan in January. But it's up to you guys.
I think we've already voted on that.
Right, we did, but I just want to.
That would be, that's not a,
You can consider alternative action.
okay. No. Go ahead.
No, I'm really glad to hear there's a report coming back. You mentioned that there's a detailed report that shows the expenses of how the money is going to get used. I believe some of that money is going towards real expenses at the Civic Center for maintenance. Offhand, can you think of some of the biggest expenses of what that money will be used for just to maintain the Civic Center, keep the building in working order?
It's not so much maintenance, but everything's laid out as an exhibit already of what the funding is intended to support. So essentially utility costs, a big chunk of that, the stage, so there's a lot of costs associated with bringing that stage in, which allows them to have events. We also have production costs, so sound, lighting, things like that. Those are all costs that they have paid for, so it's essentially a subsidy of those existing costs. And they also purchased a bunch of fencing, which the city receives a ton of benefit from because of all of our events that require fencing down there, like Freedom Festival. So it's essentially utilization of those things plus their existing expenses.
Yeah, I think to the point we made at the last meeting was just realizing the investment that Advanced Reading has made into the Civic Center already, something about $1.5 million that they've already put into the building for bringing the building either up to code or just replacing a lot of things that were just deteriorating over time. So I understand your concern there as far as it feels like we're just giving them a lot of money, but in some ways we just had an agreement with them that's just not really modern. It's not working. It gives us a way to give them money back towards the investment they've had in the Civic Center. So it's really not money wasted so much. They've just invested so much money to keep the Civic Center just open and running. And it is a little bit like life support. I think there's still real concern that we're not talking about today, that there's real danger that the Civic Center could really shut down in 4 to 6 months, you know, if we don't modernize the lease or come to some sort of agreement. And I still believe even if we put it out to RFP, I don't know if we'd really get anybody out that would run that, you know, losing money without any ability to make money itself or break even. So I appreciate the investment that they've done over time. And I understand your concerns, but they've already put a lot of money into that. And if you go back to the slide, was it 1 page back or something like that? Or is it
That was
my
grayed
meetings
out.
with Julie? Julie, I think that's kind of how you looked in previous meetings up there a little bit. You know, you just needed that lifeline help, you know, and I understand you put a lot of heart, blood, sweat, and tears into the Civic Center, and this hopefully does give you the help, and I do hope to see the Civic Center thriving and open for the long term, and I am worried with you and like everybody else about what it looks like in 4 to 5 months, and I truly hope this asset to the community that we really depend on, that we really need, you can help find a way to keep this open and running for us.
Can I ask Julie a question?
Yeah,
I'm done.
that's
So,
fine.
I mean, if you don't mind answering that, and you don't have to answer this, maybe I'm putting you on spot. Yeah, I mean, I do want to keep it open, and I do appreciate all the work you have done, and we have talked about that. But my suggestion is, again, I'm repeating myself at the risk of repeating, that if we give half the grant now with a 4-month plan, and then you come back with a financial plan in 4 months, will that keep the center open for next 4 months? Will that be sufficient to keep the center open for next 4 months?
No, it won't be. I think at the last meeting, you also made the suggestion of fundraising, and to which, while I do appreciate it, if there were another $300,000 to fundraise in the community for any nonprofit in our community, whether that's Ray Shasta, that's Art Collaborative, it's the planetarium, it's the library, it's the Civic, we are all of us out there asking the same people for funds. And so while I appreciate the suggestion for fundraising, you could even look at our cohort with the Cascade, like there's just for these kinds of facilities that are not seen as the same kind of necessity, like fire, police, trauma-informed care, things of that nature, there's just very limited individuals or organizations to approach. We have received support from the McConnell Foundation and some other entities throughout the years, but you know, McConnell Foundation also can't be the pocket that everybody picks from when all the other pockets are no's or are empty. So, you know, I just want to affirm that if we had gone down those directions and that money was there to get, we would have already gotten it.
So half of it won't be enough for 4 months?
No, not for 4 months, no.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you for answering.
Councilmember Audette?
Travis, can you speak to, one of the commenters had said that we should be spending it on police officers. Can you just briefly tell the public why this money is going to the Civic, what it was designated for, that it's, you know, not general fund money that we're granting, but it is its own specific funds? Could you just briefly, for the public's sake, explain that again?
Certainly. Yeah, it is council's prerogative to change the intent of the funding, but it was originally set aside as land sale funds for the Sheraton property for the specific use of maintaining the Civic Auditorium or doing projects for the Civic Auditorium. Council now can decide to reallocate those funds. This particular budget resolution is to allocate it toward the grant, but it could be put toward other uses if council considered that. That's not the conversation we're having tonight, but I don't think that, I'm not super qualified to talk about police costs, but that wouldn't get you super far down the road either. So I'm sure City Manager Tippin would be able to discuss that, but I don't think that would be a stopgap solution, not a permanent solution, because it is one-time funds.
Yeah, and Mr. Mayor, I just want to clarify, specific fund has a very particular legal meaning with respect to Prop 218, et cetera. These aren't funds that are legally restricted in that way. These are funds that were designated by the City Council, but they're not subject to other legal requirements or any legal requirements other than those created by the council itself. You aren't restricted in your ability to repurpose them.
All right, thank you.
Wait, so we could have put this towards our budget? We didn't have to use it for the civic? Is that what you're saying?
You could reclaim it for any purpose that the council, resolves to spend this particular funding on. That was the conversation in the last meeting, that we said that the intent can be changed. It was set by resolution. There's not essentially strings attached other than the ones that council ties themselves with.
Sorry, and maybe it was just me. I thought when you had answered that it meant unrestricted to maintenance. So it could be for operations and maintenance, not just maintenance for the civic. So you're saying, I thought you meant you're redesignating it towards what specifically at the civic, but you're saying it didn't have to be used for the civic at all?
Correct. Council could provide alternate direction, and the direction we were given at the last meeting was to do the grant. So alternate direction at that time could have been find another purpose, convene another meeting, come up with other ideas. Council in that case decided to move forward with the grant.
All right.
How come, I was not, sorry, I didn't understand that it could go somewhere other than the civic. How come that wasn't brought up during our budget workshops, that was available funding?
Staff did say and has said to us a handful of times that we could go through every resolution and fund that had been set up and designated by previous councils and decide that when those previous councils voted to set aside money to support certain aspects of the city and the city assets, that we could decide, because the council answers to itself, that we could decide to draft a new resolution and vote to audit every one of those funds and decide that we were not going to use those funds for purposes previously designated by councils and voted on, and decide that we were going to reallocate money, one-time money, somewhere else. And this council had a discussion, and we all voted saying that we wanted to honor what previous councils had designated for those funds and for other funds.
Can you tell me the date of that? I don't remember that happening. Can we get, I don't remember ever getting a list of all of monies that are set aside that are in separate funds that then we would have access to. So have we ever gotten a list of that? And can we get a list of that?
That's a line item. I mean, that's a line item 12, but City Manager Tippin discussed that in City Council meeting. That's the only reason that I know that.
Mr. Tippin?
Do you know which one?
We had general conversations about, various accounts, rolling stock accounts, equipment accounts, internal revenue accounts, or internal fund accounts where we can strip revenues out or reserves out, that sort of thing. Councils have, over the past, as you just stated, made specific allocations, and you can unwind those when you so chose. I don't know that we've ever produced a specific list. That would take quite a bit of staff work to actually put something like that together. Clearly, if the council wishes to have that, that would be an appropriate item 12.
I was unaware that there were just accounts that council had designated that then would be available for other items. So if that is so readily available, so a list could be made, is what you're saying, so that we're aware of it. Because when you're on council and what you've decided, unless you were there when that was done, you probably wouldn't know that existed in that respect. So that's something that could be created.
Well, in this particular case, the funds were set aside for that purpose. We just hadn't actually spent them yet. As we've kind of discussed the fate of Advanced Reading and the Civic Auditorium, that's how the conversation came back up. It's like, well, we do have those funds. We could look at an alternate use for them because it may not be as wise to invest in, say, the HVAC unit if there's no tenant in the building. So that's sort of how that came back up. Otherwise, we were looking at essentially the large HVAC project with these funds and other funds, which is, a $3 to $4 million project, probably in the next year. Yeah. But again, if there's no tenant, the need is much lower for that project.
My comment was going to be in response to Councilmember Danuka's comment. That one of the reasons why I was in support of this for numerous reasons, but one of them is that it is financially prudent for this council to do everything that we possibly can to make Advanced Reading succeed, because this setup and this lease is, as I believe Vice Mayor Lataw said, not modern and not how it works in every other city that I believe staff has brought us. So it is the best option for us to make sure that we can that we can support Advanced Reading, because we don't have in the general fund money to sustain the Civic without them there.
I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the actions 1 through 4.
Mike?
I'll second, so, yes.
All right, roll call?
Councilmember Audette?
Yes.
Danuka?
Abstain.
Bresner?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lataw?
Yes.
And Mayor Munz.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, let's move on. 9.14.
Yes.
Pardon me? Okay. I thought this went in order, but anyway, 9.8, fire. Consider repealing ordinance number 2642 to remove Reading Municipal Code, Chapter 618. Chief Van Landingham.
Per council direction on August 19th, 2025, council meeting, staff is bringing back to you the ordinance repealing ordinance number 2642. First responder fee are being asked tonight to authorize and approve the following. Introduce ordinance repealing ordinance number 2642 to remove Reading Municipal Code Title 6, Chapter 6.18, Emergency Medical Services First Responder Fee for first reading and waive the full reading. That's it.
Do I just need to recruit that, Tanessa Audette, that there was no public comment for the last item? I got you for this one. 9.8B.
Still no public comment.
Oh, I don't have you for that one. We don't have you for that one. We just got you for this one, Steve.
Let him come up.
Yeah, you can come up if you want. And then you can stay and comment on the next one. Do you say you did or you don't? Oh, okay. Our bad.
Here I am again. Two things. Number one is, I think that this is a prime example of how Councilwoman Audette gets confused, because I have listened to these discussions and I understood clearly that that money could be moved around, but somehow she missed it. And I don't know, almost came across as though there's some big conspiracy or something. Then again, this is a $975,000 Band-Aid. What we didn't discuss with the elephant in the room is that there's deferred maintenance of between, what, $10 and $20 million. And once you get into that and start working with construction firms, who knows where that would end up. Those are the things that need to be addressed. And without the sales tax measure passing, I believe that we can stick a fork in the convention center because it's done. And with people undermining the sales tax, I think that we can put credit where credit's due, because without that sales tax passing, I don't see how the Civic or many other wonderful projects will continue. So thank you.
Thanks, Steve. All right, so that one's finished. Now we're back to Chief. We entertain a motion. Do you have any questions for?
Motion to approve.
All right, I'll second.
No.
All right.
Councilmember Audette?
Yes.
Okay. Dr. Danuka?
Yes.
Resner?
Yes.
Lataw?
Yes.
And Mayor Munz.
Yes. All right. Now, 9.14. Mr. Robinette, authorize finance director to prepare a written response to Councilmember Audette's published Reading Budget Findings Report.
Yeah, and Mr. Mayor, as Mr. Robinette's making his way up, I'll just note that this is the result of the item 12 from the prior meeting. The council had requested that this item come forward. Because of Brown Act limitations, we really can't go into the details of what the council does or doesn't want. So this item came forward on consent to make sure that this is actually what you're looking for in terms of the report. And then if not, for you to give us alternative direction.
Okay, thank you.
I know that you don't have a report because this was on consent. I think that the way that this is, the staff report is written, says authorized release of the response via direct communication with council. I want to make sure that we are releasing or doing a press release so that the community, when we get direct communication, that it is released in a press release so that the community has access to that as soon as we have access to that. I'm assuming that that's what you meant, but
Yeah, there's,
Or however.
obviously at that point, it's a public document, so we were probably going to put it on the website or somewhere where people could find it, but we could absolutely do a press release if council so wishes.
press release and the website sounds great so that there is easy access if council feels great on
I
that.
think a press release makes a lot of sense since this gained so much traction on social media and in our community, that since it went out in such large volume in that format, that the response of the city is also deserving to go out in such a large response. So everybody has an opportunity to read that, so.
We have public comment? Benjamin?
Thank you. That
No,
was it.
Wayne? We'll call you back up, Mr. Robinette, if we need you. Yes. And Dolores, you'll be next.
So, council members, tonight you're being asked to direct the finance director to respond to Councilmember Audette's independent budget findings that she published on her website. Now, I do believe that this is an appropriate measure. The public deserves clarity, and staff deserve not to have their work misrepresented. But let's also be honest. We arrived here in an entirely inappropriate way. Look how council members Resner and Littau have approached this same responsibility. They've put out a finance series walking the public through our budget line by line, using their platform to teach people how government works. That's what stewardship looks like, helping residents understand the numbers and how decisions are made. Now, by contrast, Councilmember Audette has launched a social media campaign alleging that transfers were hidden, revenues padded, and millions missing. Staff had already explained those claims. Instead of educating the public, she has sought to defame and discredit staff, and the end goal has become clear. Not reconciling numbers, but calling for the firing of city staff. The audacity of Audette, calling for someone's termination with a spreadsheet in one hand and a gelato in the other. If this was truly a crisis, one would expect her to be here in person, not dialing in from Italy. To accuse staff of malfeasance and demand accountability, then not even be here. It's poor stewardship. And let's remember, this campaign has also been used to attack the citizen-led 1% sales tax measure on the November ballot. Councilmember Audette frames it as a scheme to, quote, plug a hole. But that's not what it is. The measure didn't come from the staff or the council. It came from the people of Reading, who want a chance to decide whether we invest in public safety and essential services. Other communities have passed similar measures, like Butte County. Used them to hire deputies, firefighters, and reopen libraries. The question before voters is simple. Do we want services that make the city safe and livable? And are we willing to pay for them? The council has the right to set the record straight. But let's not forget how we got here. Politics got us into this mess, and good stewardship and honesty is what will get us out.
Thanks, Benjamin. Dolores, you're up. Leslie, you're on deck.
The clock is still going. Thank you. Yeah, this item, actually, Ms. Tanessa, it's pretty sad that she's not here to able to hear what we have to say, even though she's on the phone, it's not the same thing. But I understand her concerns, but having concerns is okay. But if you don't have the evidence and you cannot prove it, you cannot accuse people, because you know what? A lot of people do that. They have the habit of accusing people without the evidence. And I think it's pretty sad that she's been doing this on the radio and everything. Everybody's kind of like following her and kind of going along what she's saying, but she cannot produce the facts. And I think for her to, for you, the staff, to be using staff time to do all this, to put the press release and everything, using the taxpayers' money for her, assuming there's something there. You can't just say there's something there. You have to have the facts. If she's coming up with nothing, I think she should be accountable for the staff to be taking the time for them to do the press release or gather any documentations to show the citizens there's, your defense. And I think she should pay for that. I think she should pay for that. Without the facts and the evidence, people should need to understand. You can't accuse people and assume and think it's okay and use the staff for that. If she has something, she should go to the right agency and let the agency discover or do the investigation. Then if they find something, then that agency will come back with the facts and the evidence. But for her to assume and accuse and get people all wired up and try to get people to believe what she's saying, it's like the people like in Shasta County is always saying, there's election fraud, election fraud. Where's the evidence? Prove it. There's no evidence. So it's frustrating when the last time I was here and I was saying something to her, she just laughs and thinks it's funny, it's rude. And all I was trying to give her is some opinion, Mike, and she could take it the way she wants. But I've been doing this for a long time, since 2009 or 7? I've been in politics for a long time. So I was just trying to give her my opinion. If she don't want to take it from somebody who has experience, or do you want to take, just information from somebody who's telling you, hey, you should look into it, you should do this and that. But those people don't even have experience. They have no knowledge. I think she needs to be accountable for her using the taxpayers' money to do this and promote what she's doing without evidence. You should make her pay for this, for the time of the staff, thank you.
Thanks. Leslie, you're up. David Halligan, you're next.
Thank you. Councilmember Audette, thank you for taking the time to call in at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning to be here to hear this. This could have all been avoided. I was sat in one of these meetings where she tried asking these questions, where Mr. Robinette sat there and gave explanations, and $3 million of funds that we didn't know where they were became $8 million, became $8 to $12 million, because we were going off of projections and, mystery numbers, but not asking or not providing the actual facts that she had asked for, the actual numbers, even in years past where she said, I'd like to go back to the actuals. And they were like, well, it's very difficult to, talk off of actuals, and projections are easier. Projections are easier. It's easier to hide things that way. But this could have all been avoided had she been allowed to have those discussions publicly. Instead, she was shut down, not only by staff, but by the rest of this council. And I, as somebody who votes for you, was disappointed. I told Dr. Danuka, I told you I was disappointed that you didn't do more to stand up with her to ask questions. Mr. Lata, I said I was disappointed that you didn't ask more questions, that you didn't meet with her, which you did eventually meet with her, and I'm glad you clarified that. But she's provided evidence. There's a 150-page document that does need answers. The public deserves answers, and we don't deserve a response by people who have already skated around the issues. We need real answers. Dr. Danuka, when we spoke, people need to be held accountable. And you said, even if that means you guys as the council, even if that means past council. Tanessa did vote for some of this stuff and said she was the very first one. And I will say, Years ago, even up until a year ago, if somebody said, Tanessa said this, I would have rolled my eyes. Because we have been on opposite sides of political spheres for a long time, till I took the time to get to know her and ask the questions. But when she stood up in this meeting and said, I did not ask enough questions, and that is on me, and I failed the public, that was her putting on her big boy pants that all of you need to do. Aaron, you've been on this council the longest. You're responsible for the most of these finance things going through without asking enough questions. I think we need something bigger than something put together by staff. We need something more, and everybody needs held accountable, whether it's you or whether it's staff. But we need to do it, and we need to do it now before he walks out and leaves him, whoever, to clean up his mess.
David, you're up.
Good evening, Council. Ms. Audette's allegations concerning the financial department and the city manager must have a thorough review from our finance director and is critical to protect the city from legal liability and, if appropriate, based on the results, safeguard the reputation of the finance department and the city manager and ensure a fair outcome for all parties. The financial director, I'm sure, is fact-gathering, fact-checking, and putting a report together, and hopefully this report will come out in a timely manner. Communicate the findings and take action. If any of the allegations are substantiated, report to the council members and take appropriate corrective or disciplinary actions, which could include policy changes, further training, suspensions, a termination, depending on the severity. If allegations are unfounded, explain the findings to the city council members and the community, as Ms. Audette chose to go public with these allegations. If the allegations are disproven, use the findings to reaffirm confidence in the finance department's integrity and processes. And you never know, yes, you never know, some good may come out of this. Use the findings as an opportunity to reinforce internal controls and to further review and update financial procedures to prevent further issues, future issues, and improve city transparency. I look forward to the timely report. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, any questions? I'll entertain a motion. No, Dr. Duke, go ahead.
I had a question.
Yeah, well, what?
No, go ahead.
Go ahead, Tanessa.
Well, shouldn't this be an item that comes back that we can then discuss? And not just some press release, some statement? Shouldn't it be an item that comes back and then we can actually discuss those things?
I thought we talked about that.
I mean, well,
If there's something,
this got pulled for discussion.
well, after Greg's report and we review it, and if we find there's something else, then we'll bring it back.
But why wouldn't the report be brought to a meeting and be an agenda item where they can discuss? I mean, there's a ton of questions, so why wouldn't it come back to a meeting for discussion?
Mr. Christian, you want to take that one, or? I mean, I think we've talked about it already.
Yeah, so the item is taking a stab at the council's intent. Certainly, if the council wanted to come back as a presentation, we could do that, but be aware that is more time.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it, that if we, after Greg presents his findings, we'll review and then we'll come back if necessary. That's my understanding.
And that was our understanding of what the council would want, but this is your opportunity to debate and decide that.
All right,
You said it was going to be a press release.
Yeah.
You just said it was going to be a press release. So if it's coming to us, it's coming to everybody, but that doesn't give it the opportunity for discussion.
Okay.
And I do want to be clear, what we understood was that essentially the council felt that there was a need for any further action. There would be a subsequent item 12.
Yeah, correct. Okay, Dr. Duca?
So can I just ask you guys to step back for a moment, everyone? Let's not focus on names and personalities. Let's see what the real problem is. I can tell you, I have always found city manager, finance department, and the staff to be completely truthful with me. I have looked at all these things. I have not found any lies or any frauds. At least myself, I have not found that. What I do find is a structural problem we have in the city. And the structural problem is we are bringing in less revenue and spending more money. And there's a legitimate questions how the city is spending that money and whether some of those expenditures are justified or not, or what path city should take in the future. That is a very legitimate question. And it's very important for us to focus on the questions and the answers and the process rather than the personalities of he or him or anyone else. So what I do recommend is that we take a little bit different process here. And I do appreciate finance department putting a report together. They have done a lot of work together before, but clearly public is not satisfied with all the answers they have seen so far. So we need to take a different path. And this is what my suggestion is. And let me explain to you why I'm bringing this. In the hospital system, in the medical system, we have what we call external audits. Every 3 to 5 years, we go through a process where an external body comes in, audits all our processes, not just the money part, but the process part, to make sure that our internal controls are good, as the last speaker spoke, and learn from the mistakes or the gaps and improve the future without pointing finger at any specific person. But of course, accountability is built in that if there is some gross negligence. So my suggestion is we should really be looking for an independent external audit to focus on learning from the past decision-making, maybe salary structures, how they are decided, maybe how the decisions are made, because council is responsible for those decisions, even the past one or the present one, and come up with a plan for the future, for improvement that could solve our structural problem, because we do need to clear the air. And we can make this audit on a focused basis, not the wide, but very focused on specific things the city council can decide that what is the scope of that audit. That's my suggestion. We should seriously consider this to bring the...
Every year.
No, we
have an external audit every year.
There's a difference. Audit we have every year is the financial audit alone. What I'm talking about is an independent audit, which not just the finances, but the process.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
So that's what we need right now. That's my recommendation, that we should really bring that up.
Okay. Bring that up on item 12.
Well, Mayor, you can always talk about item 12, but reality is the elephant in the room needs to be addressed with the public.
We're not doing it here. It was item 12. You can bring it up.
No, I understand, but this is the part of the discussion. This is my suggestion. I do want to hear, because the reason I'm saying is I can't talk with the 5 council member outside. So I do want to hear the take of other council member on this, if you're willing.
Not at this moment.
If I may, Mr. Mayor, certainly you could, on item 12, consider whether or not you want to do an additional financial audit. I would note, however, that this response would likely be coming much more quickly than you would have an audit, and they're not mutually exclusive. So you would be able to get this response and then still consider the option of an independent audit.
Right. What I want to know from the fellow council people is their take on this subject. Not necessarily making a decision right now, because I can't have the discussion with 5 people outside this body. So I need to know what is their thinking about this, and public needs to know that.
Oh, I'm not in favor of that at this time. We have a public audit every single year.
Okay. How about other people? What do you guys think?
Mike?
Yeah. So my perspective is I come to everything with a very open mind. So I don't like to blow off anything. I like what Council Member Resner said earlier, is when you hear something, you want to take it with you want to understand if it's true or not. But it's good to fact check things. It's good to go back and ask questions, and you might find out something is very true and you can support it. You may find out there's some holes and something that needs to be improved on. So I come into this open-minded. I think with anything that Councilmember Audette supplied a report, maybe it's not the right format I would have ever done personally, or like to see it come out in that form. But I think there's going to be some takeaways that we get out of that. There's going to be some things that we find out that we could do better to either improve financial reports or to do auditing different ways as you're promoting there. But I think the first thing we do is give a chance for the city to respond, because there was a lot of accusations made. And whether we want to believe them, we hear the community just come right away and just say, we've heard these allegations, and you immediately just want to believe them and go, it's true, it's true, it's true. Well, wouldn't the fair thing be to let the city respond, at least let them come back and report? Have an open mind, They're going to come back and our finance director is a professional. He's got the college degrees. He's got the accounting experience, and he can articulate and explain things in a way that we might just find that Audette's on to something that can make sense of what we want to do, but we might find that she's just really confused and just needed some help understanding some other things a little bit more clearly. I'm going to wait for the report. I'll make some decisions at that time, and I think we might have opportunities for line item 12s, and that'll help narrow our focus a little bit to see how can we improve the city of Reading and do certain things. But let's wait for that report to come out and then, narrow our focus a little bit to see what we want to do.
Councilmember Resler?
Mr. Robinette, could I ask you a question? Do you have a ballpark? Because I actually believe that Speaker Lucero happened to be correct when she said taxpayer dollars. It matters the amount of money that we are spending. So entertaining something, do you have any idea? Does that exist in government? And do you have any sort of ballpark?
Are you
Obviously,
talking
I'm not
about Dr. Danuka's idea?
some sort of internal audit. I'm aware that we have an external audit that occurs every year, and those are judging our financial practices and our methods. And every time that I have been here, you've come out with flying colors. However, I'm wondering if we were to, does something like that exist in government? And if so,
Not that I'm aware of off the top of my head. Doesn't mean it doesn't exist, right? Just means I have no experience with it because we've never done that. In terms of professionally speaking, I absolutely know you could probably find an audit firm that would be willing to come in and spend any amount of hours that we're willing to pay them to review any process that we're willing to pay them for. And I mentioned that because we went through, was it CPS, HR, whatever, they did a review of our HR systems, right? And so they came in with specialty knowledge around HR systems. How do we onboard people, kind of cradle to grave of people being employees at the city of Reading? And we use a lot of that information to try to improve our personnel processes, just as a whole separate topic. So depending on the scope, it could be pretty expensive. Our audit that we pay for right now, I think is somewhere in the neighborhood of $150,000 a year. It's borne across multiple city funds. So my point is, the people that do this type of work are not cheap. They're quite expensive. They usually bring in large teams. They do a lot of testing, a lot of review. And so the scope is what really would come down to the cost of some type of activity like that.
okay, thank you. I would like to hear from our staff a response first for it to be released to the public for us to review. Because at this time, I'm not willing to spend $100,000 to $200,000 of taxpayer money.
Are you making a motion?
No, I understand that. I just want to let you know that many large organizations and government agencies have these kind of reviews every few years, for the process improvement perspective. We call it QI. And it's not just medical, but even government and large corporations have that every few years.
Entertain a motion.
Yeah, and I think to the point we make is, and maybe that might be something that comes back at a future council meeting, is explaining in more detail to the public what an audit really means when we do that every single year. What are, they pick a certain amount of items that they really focus on every single year. But from my understanding, the audit that happens by the external auditor is very, very close to a forensic audit. It's very, very close to it. But again, as we narrow our focus, and Councilmember Danuka, you might be able to help navigate after reading that report to say, hey, you might want to audit on something very, very specific. And instead of just doing an audit across the entire city, REU, Public Works, and everything, but there might be something that comes out of the report that is of interest to the whole council to discuss.
That's a fair point. And definitely, there's no need for a full audit of everything. But the only difference is that audit we have every year is for the financial integrity to make sure the numbers are correct. But what the question right now is not so much about the numbers being correct or not. The question is more about the process, how the decision was made. So that is the difference. I just want to clarify.
Mr. Robinette?
Yeah, I wanted to add, Dr. Danuka mentioned that it's about the integrity of our financial information. They do review and test our internal controls. So it actually is a test baked into saying, what are your internal controls? Are you following them? Do you follow them every time? Are they good internal controls? Frankly, I always bring up the example of in 2019 when the finance director and the city treasurer were combined, right? That's a change to our processes. They used to be two separate positions. What does that mean in terms of internal controls? What are the ramifications? And so they make those assessments, you know, and even at that time, you can bring in audit firms that'll give you recommendations just on your internal controls if you so choose. So I just want to provide that slight bit of clarification because they do weigh in on our internal controls.
Right, but they wouldn't look into how the city council made a decision on certain pay raises. Okay, just to be clear about
Yeah, they review budget resolutions and things of that nature, but not the process.
I will make a motion to authorize the request of city treasurer/finance director to prepare a written response, to authorize the release of the response via direct communication to council, as well as via website and press release.
I'll second that.
Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Audette?
So just for clarity, they're gonna give us an email or some report in response to not everything, but whatever they decide they're gonna do it on. And then we're gonna release that to the public with no discussion or clarity or questions or anything. It's not gonna be in a report, and like where they come and discuss it.
Well, it's my understanding.
My understanding, again, is clarifying is it's going to allow for discussion at a future
Yeah.
time. It will narrow our focus, and there might be some specifics of what we have questions are. We might want a presentation. So,
It seems to me that it's gonna, we don't know exactly the things that it's addressing. We have large topics, but not specifics. So if it skips things, then it just starts the process over again. So because it's not very specific of what's gonna be addressed, there could still be things unanswered, and then we go through the whole thing again. So I would want to make a motion, I do make a motion that we bring it back as an item to be discussed so that questions can be asked in the meeting about it if you're going to release it to the public without any questions or clarity or any opportunity for the public to then ask questions about the response as well.
All right, well, we don't have a second.
Well, I can second that.
Okay. Well, we'll vote on the second one then. All in favor of the second one, roll call vote for that one?
Audette?
Yes.
Danuga?
Yes.
Resner?
Yes. I'll discuss.
Vice Mayor Latab?
yes.
And Mayor Munz?
No. So we're, go ahead, Greg.
I'll just need some clarity on what you guys
Yeah.
want me to exactly present. As Councilwoman Audette alluded to, it's a pretty broad-ranging report. My response certainly is trying to narrow it down into certain topics. I just struggle to know exactly what pieces of information you're hoping to present, how you want it presented. I mean, do you just want me to go through the entire report and present the information in response to it, or what? Given this direction, I need some direction as to what that
Isn't your
response
response to her response? That's what my understanding is. Go ahead, Greg, is that,
I think if I would, well, if we're all going to give input, I would really want answers to the actual budget that we're in right now and the issues and discrepancies.
There's
that
no,
we did
there,
not get to ask.
okay, so I just want to be clear, there are no issues or discrepancies in our current budget. I've already gone through that part of the report. There are no issues or discrepancies in our current budget. So if I can answer those questions anytime you want, any member of the community, this council, any of our staff members, if you have a question about this current budget, please come see me, I will answer.
well, I thought this was for you to bring back something in response to what she had been putting out.
Yeah, not the budget thing, just what your response is.
That's what I put out. That is what the report was about.
Okay, all right. Can I just clarify this? What we would like to see is whatever your response is, what you're going to put it to the public, just bring that, not the entire budget.
Okay,
We are not
that might
questioning
take me a couple more weeks to bring a presentation to council, because
Prepare a written response to Councilmember Trunessa Audette's published Reading Budget Findings document
I think
I'm sure you all can appreciate that presenting information is very different than writing up information. It's already a tremendous amount of work to write it up. And to put it in a format that is consumable for the public will be challenging. So I'm just warning you, it'll take me a little bit of time. It's not a problem, though.
I'm sorry for how much time it's taking. It's, you know, if we're trying to build transparency to the public, then we might as well just get it out there because otherwise she's just going to do this for another 4 more years, who knows? But the thought process, I don't think I need a response or presentation to the narratives to where we just took a guess to the sales tax and the property tax. I mean, I know you showed me a slide today that was fascinating going back to 2010 to 2014 that showed sales tax assumptions under the old finance manager from 2010 to 2014 were 4.5% and property taxes were like 5.7%. I mean, their assumptions were far higher. I'm not coming back and questioning their narrative. I'm less interested in that. You know, we took our best guess. It didn't work out. But I'm more interested in your presentation on the responses to the facts. If she's saying that money's missing, money is moved, money is accounted for, I mean, that's the detail that we're going to get back in your report.
I've said none of those things. I've said none of those things.
Well, I'm less interested in, I'm less interested in your narrative and the narrative of the city, less interested in her narrative. I just want to report back on the facts, just speak facts to the facts. And that's how we do the fact checking. And we're going to give you a chance to really present it and to really give us the information that we're really looking for. Just speak to the facts. That's all we need you to do.
Just whatever you're presenting to the public, just present it.
We don't
here.
need a narrative.
Not the
That's
whole,
it.
not the whole thing.
Yeah.
Aaron?
I think that no one up here has any issues with it taking a few more weeks. If you are going to present it for the sake of transparency in this open sort of forum, if it takes you until November, I'm totally fine with that because like Vice Mayor Lataw said, I don't want there to be any confusion. And so I would like you to take as long as it takes to present the response and for it to be done in the most transparent way that we can, which is why I had asked for the press release before, specifically so that the community can listen to facts.
So all we're changing is really the dissemination, where you were going to do email before, now you're just going to do it in front of us.
Will this report come out before the presentation or is this
To
presentation
some
going to be
degree,
in lieu of
that's
the report?
council's prerogative. I mean, to be honest with you,
Well, you want the public to be able to ask questions and give a response. So if it comes back in November and it's a report, and then the public actually gets to weigh in.
So
That's what we
Go
voted
ahead.
for.
I was actually going to ask Mr. Lataw's, or Councilmember Lataw's question. Do you want us to release it per the prior direction publicly before scheduling this on an agenda, or do you want us to wait for the agenda, which that meeting would be out, and then release it at that time?
I think
My
you can-
personal,
Come out in the meeting.
my personal opinion, and I would look to see what the rest of council has to say, but because there is nothing to hide in this document, I think that it would be wise for there to be, in my opinion, a week or two between when that is released and when it is set as an agenda item, because it has been said before that there was not sufficient time, and because I care about transparency, there is absolutely nothing to hide in this situation, and I want the public to be able to read through those documents, and like you said, they're going to be very dense, and have the opportunity to
Yeah, I agree with that.
review
Just
them.
release it, release it in a week in advance, and then we can have a conversation afterwards. So
Sounds
you don't have to present the whole thing here. We don't need that. Just release it to the public, and a week after that, we can have a conversation about that. That's all.
but that's a slightly different direction. So
Say that again?
So if he's releasing it to the public a week in advance, he does not have to repeat the whole presentation again on the agenda. We can have a discussion about that, and he can be available for the questions.
I disagree.
Okay,
I think that that's important.
okay.
So what is the motion now?
I think we already voted on.
I was seeking clarification of the motion. I think I'm
So
abundantly clear.
You're doing
what
1 and 2,
council
you're
wants.
just bringing it back for discussion. Okay, all right. I'll change my vote to yes then.
As an item.
All right. We Any travel reports? No travel reports? And item 12? No item 12?
I do.
Yep, go ahead.
I have an item 12. I think it would be great to have this come back, these other accounts that we have council directed. I would like to know what the list of those accounts are, where there's funds that could be reallocated for other purposes. If we could get a list of those.
Mr. Robinette's walking up to the podium, so I'm believing that he has something to say, but
I'm going to watch Christian the entire time I talk, and when he does this, I'll stop. So there's not a ton of these, but, you know, given the time of the year we're at in finance, you know, my team is trying to get through our annual audit. Last year, we were a couple months late with the new system. We're trying to get it done on time. That's like a big goal of ours as a team. To be honest with you, I plan on being a little more involved in that than I'm currently able to, given this other kind of work stream that we've created. So I think it would be fairly easy. It's just where it ranks in the priority. You know, that's a tough decision always. And so that's the only thing I would mention to council is there's a lot on my team's plate. I don't think there's a ton there. You know, the things that come to mind for me are equipment replacement, rolling stock. This one that was discussed this evening was super unique in that there was a specific action taken with land proceeds to kind of put them into a dedicated account for the convention center. Off the top of my head, I don't know of too many that are that nuanced. Certainly, you know, you can get into some conversations around carryovers and things of that nature. But I don't think that's really the intent of the item. So I just warn council, there's a lot of work on my team's plate right now.
And my impression is that you guys went through so many of these things while setting the budget, while finding the money. So I understand the burden of work you have right now. So I guess this could come back maybe in a, I don't know, 4 months, 6 months, something like that? No emergency?
We have just worn down your team. And we just keep asking to do more and more and more. And I'm just grateful you have not quit and our finance team has not quit. So I hope you're still here to report this very important report coming back in a few months. But I would entertain bringing this back as line item 12 in the future, but I just can't imagine the stress level of just keep adding more and more stuff to your plate that you've just got to do. And who knows when that report would actually come back. If we say we want it today, it might be March
So
or
maybe in the future.
Let's
think I'm
focus on
hearing
the audit.
consensus.
So auditing seems to be a very important theme. So, yeah.
Would it be possible to just get maybe one a month? Just let us know one of these accounts and we can start to build that list over time. Because I mean, I was unaware of the civics of that fund. I mean, it's 10 years old, so it never came up. It was never mentioned. It didn't come out during the budget workshops as a source of funding that we could have used for the budget. So I'm just curious, like, if these exist, could you just maybe start building that list so you tell us about one of them per month? And I don't mean rolling stock. I just meant like obscure ones that are council driven, similar to what we're talking about with the civic.
I think she can meet with the finance team anytime and probably go do that, right? So she can ask you questions or.
But certainly, again, same caution for any.
Great. I'll come to your office anytime.
By all means, you are welcome like any other member of the public. I'm more than willing to meet with anybody.
There you go.
But I will just say, this one is probably one of the, I'm going to say weirder ones. It's a non-technical term. So one of the weirder ones for sure. Off the top of my head, I can't think of a lot that I could even think of off the top of my head. And so I say that only to say being accurate is super important to me and my team. And so it's just finding the thing that you don't think of off the top of your head. I'm getting the no.
Will we be getting the cash report that gives us all the balances and all of the funds?
We are actively working on that.
This is again in discussion, isn't
So
it?
that would be a start on that, correct?
Yep. We're starting to get into a bit of discussion of the substance of the item itself.
We can come back in 6 months for that item.
Well, on the topic of, so nobody else wants the list of available funding that can be reallocated towards our budget?
Dr. Danuka said that he would like it to come, and he said, but it is not a top priority. That's also what I heard from Vice Mayor Lata. I just want to provide some clarity and reiterate again that every time that we've discussed the advanced Reading lease over the last 10 years, that amount of money has been discussed and mentioned.
Oh, yeah, it had never come up for us before. This is the first time I've heard about it. And it is pretty old, so it just hadn't come up before. Okay, so what about an audit of the ARPA funds? Is anybody interested in auditing our ARPA funds?
Change your item 12 till you find one that we like? I mean, haven't we gone
Mr.
over these?
Robinette's running up here again.
Good grief.
So I will say, as a federal grant, the ARPA funds have had specific testing done as part of our annual audit. I think the last time was fiscal year 2023. So there has been some testing done of those funds pretty recently. They tend to rotate the major programs that they're doing the test on. So I think last year they did highway grant funds and housing, if I remember right. So they choose 2 to 3 major programs, and then sometimes the federal government actually says this will be a major program, you're going to do specific testing on this. And the last time that happened with ARPA was 2023.
So we're due. So anybody else interested in doing?
No, he's saying that in 2023, while you were on council, those were audited before. Did I just understand that? Yes.
They were,
that
the
is-
auditors chose them as one of our major programs, which means they do specific testing around that program.
Right, but that's 2 years ago. And we hadn't used all of the ARPA funds by then, so that's why I'm saying we should do an audit of the ARPA funds.
Mr. Curtis?
They hadn't been expended all by then.
I'd just suggest we get back to whether or not you want to bring forward an item to
No.
discuss
Yeah, no,
a
we do not.
potential audit.
All right. Any other suggestions? All right. We're adjourned.